Hello and welcome to this tool presentation about Camtasia 2020. My name is Anton Bollen and I'm the Customer and Market Strategist for TechSmith, and I'm going to be leading the session today. We will start with a short overview and introduction to the Camtasia software in case you haven't used it in a little while or maybe have never seen it. And after that we'll take a deeper dive and a closer look at all the ways and functionality that Camtasia helps you create more consistent, better looking content faster. This tool presentation is pre-recorded, which has one major advantage. I can be here on the screen with you showing you the new Camtasia while also managing the chat. So if you have any questions, comments or things you would like to know, don't hesitate to ask us questions and I will be there ready for you. With that said, let's take a look at everything that Camtasia 2020 has to offer for technical communication. So this is what Camtasia looks like, and Camtasia is first of line really video editing software made for the creation of technical documentation and training content. Yeah, and you can see it offers quite a lot of functionality and effects, which we'll take a look at in a second. And in order to build your screencast, tutorials, training and learning videos, you can combine a series of different type of media within Camtasia. So first and foremost, Camtasia allows you to record your screen, anything you're showing on there, capturing that software, that process, and turning that into your tutorial. However, you're not just limited to screen recordings, but rather you can, if you want to include your camera or your webcam, as I'm doing right here in your videos, that is absolutely no problem. And you can import media from other sources as well. So if you have external media files, MP4 files, video files you might have gotten from a partner, or maybe you recorded them with a different camera, you can bring those into Camtasia. The same goes for any kind of images, icons, logos, etc. Make those part of your video projects. You can import additional music tracks for background music or voiceovers if you're having a professional speaker narrate your videos. And you can import PowerPoint slides if you're using that as a basis of your training or documentation content. And we even allow you to bring in recordings of cell phone screens. So if you need to document a particular app, that is also possible within our tool. And with all these different medias, they can then be combined in Camtasia in the video editing software to create those final screencasts, tutorials and learning videos, which is the strengths and focus of our software. So let's take a look at how this can be done. We'll start by creating a very simple screencast first. So right now I have Camtasia open. It's a new project and it's completely blanked. I have nothing in my media bin. My preview window is empty, and down here on the bottom the timeline is empty as well, because I first need to actually create my recording. And the good thing is that Camtasia has a screen recorder built in, and you can access it by clicking in the top left, I hope I'm pointing in the right direction, on the big red record button. This will minimize the Camtasia editor and open the Camtasia Recorder, which is this piece right now here. That is a standalone application which is part of Camtasia, which you can use to record your screen, and there's a few options you can choose. But first, let me actually open the content I want to record. In this case, it's this dashboard, this website that I want to, there's a quick couple step process that I want to turn into an explainer video. So first, I can choose the part of my screen I actually want to record, and I can choose between, on this drop down, between recording the full screen. I can choose a particular predefined size, or I can even select an area of my screen to record if I just want one particular window, for example. But in this example, I'm gonna go with full screen. I can turn on my camera if I want that, if I want to have that included, and sure, why not? Let me enable that. Here we go, and here's a little preview of what we are doing. And I can also record my microphone so my audience can hear what I'm explaining. And here as well, I can choose from a variety of connected microphones should I have multiples connected. And last but not least, I can also record system audio. And system audio is all the noises and beeps and boops and so on that your software that you might be recording is generating. But in this case, I don't need to record whatever is coming out of my system speakers. So I'm going to disable this, and I'm going to limit my recording to full screen, including the camera and including the microphone. And now I'm going to go ahead and click on the big red button to start my recording, or alternatively, I could use the hotkey F9 on my keyboard. Here we go. Right, the recorder will minimize and I should see a little countdown in 3, 2, 1. And now we are live. All right, let's do this. Hello and welcome to my tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to create a new report on our user activity. So first up, make sure you log in with the right credentials into our dashboard. The dashboard should look like this, and if you haven't seen it yet, on the left side is the new reports option. Make sure you select it, as it will bring up the report overview. Here we have various settings we can choose to generate those user reports we are after, and I recommend choosing either a pie graph or a bar graph. After you've selected the type of graph you need, make sure you select the correct date range, and then all there's left to do is generate the report by clicking on the big green button right here on the bottom. This will bring up the report, which we can now download, share, or further edit. So that was my quick little instructional video on how to create user reports using our new dashboard. I hope to see you next time in our next video. Bye. Alright, so this video is now done. The recording is still running, but I simply need to bring up the recorder and I can click the stop button or hit F10 on my keyboard in order to stop the recording that is happening. Alright, here we are. The recording I just created opens automatically in Camtasia for further editing. So a few things have happened here that I want to highlight. First up, we have the media bin right here, and that is the part where you select and collect essentially all the different types of media that are going to end up in your actual video. Yeah, so it's a bit like in German you would say an Ablage. Then in the middle we have the canvas or preview window. This is where you see what the video will look like, and there you have the option of also moving and manipulating objects within the space of the canvas. Now on the very bottom is probably the most important part of the application, the so-called timeline. The timeline contains multiple tracks, and you can actually have as many tracks as you would like. And on these tracks are the different clips aligned and positioned as they appear in your video over the course of time. So right now I actually have two tracks because the recording I created consists of once the background, the screen recording, which you can also see right here as a little tooltip. It says screen. And then Camtasia recorded my camera footage, this piece right here, as a second track, and that includes my audio as well. And the advantage of Camtasia recording these things as two separate elements is that I can manipulate and change them independent of each other, because sometimes you need to edit the screen but not your camera video, and vice versa. And by having Camtasia record them as separate layers just gives you that editing flexibility that you will probably need at some point in your video career. Another important area to highlight is right here on the left side. Not only do we have the media bin here, but we have access to a variety of different effects. So for example, we have some annotations, which are different shapes, transition effects, animations, cursor effects, audio effects, and then there are even more. Yeah, so generally keep in mind effects on the left side. And then with any clip that you select, like the screen recording, or maybe here my camera video, I also have a properties pane right here on the right side. So if I select properties, I can expand that, and the selected clip will have its properties displayed over here. So in this case, it's the size and position, and as I change that, you can see how those update live. And then further, depending on the clip you have selected, they will likely have other properties as well. So in this case, we have some audio properties because I have a voiceover. Should I apply certain effects to my clip, they would also be displayed in here. Yeah, so much for the orientation of the overall timeline. Media bin, where you collect the media you want to use. Canvas, where you arrange things in the space. Right side are the properties, and on the bottom is the timeline. Now you can also use on the timeline, there is one important thing I need to mention, and that is the so-called playhead or scrub bar. And I can take this and move this through my video, and you can see what is being shown or seen in my video at this point in time. So this is great for just kind of going through the video and going to particular parts of the video, but it can also be used for editing. And that is the next step, because I now need to take this recording and make it a little bit better. So first up, I know that at the beginning of my video, I took a couple seconds before I was ready to start. So I'm going to take this green and red handle to select the first few seconds of my video that I don't actually want to have included, because I was still talking about we're about ready to start the recording. So now I have that selected. I click on the little icon here with the scissors to cut this portion out, and it deleted from both tracks the first few seconds. So now my video starts with perfectly me saying hello and welcome to my tutorial. Alright, let's keep going. I'm sure I made a mistake or a long pause at some point within my video, so maybe right here is a long pause I don't want to have in the final result. I can do the same thing using the red and green handles. I can select the portion I want to remove, and then I can go ahead and click that scissor icon again to remove it. And then last but not least, at the end of my video, there's a few seconds where I'm still talking to the camera, but I'm already showing the recording and the recorder, and the main part is already over. So my main screencast ends here at this point in time after 55 seconds, and I need to remove the remaining 6 or 7 seconds that are on the timeline. Sure, as I just did, I could use the green and red handles to select that portion, but there's another way as well. I can simply take the edge of my recording, trim it. I'll do the same to my screen recording, and that is another way of just removing parts. And as you can see, it's very quick, it's very intuitive, and I think that's one of the nice things about Camtasia as well. It can do a lot of things, but it's not as complex as a lot of other video editing software. Alright, now that we've done this really basic cut of our video, it's time to go further. There's a good chance we want to instruct our users to look at a certain area or click on a certain area. So in this case, we might want to highlight the login option. And for this, Camtasia has a really nice feature called Annotations, found right here on the left side under the effects. Now, annotations, yeah, you might know them, are essentially different types of graphical elements and shapes that you can add on top of your video in order to emphasize something or to make a point. So there's different ones, and I'm actually going to select the all style so we really see this. Yeah, so there's different kind of callouts. We can draw little arrows, we can have boxes and shapes, we can blur things, we can actually use these kind of animated sketch motion callouts for an additional nice effect, and we can even blend in the keyboard shortcuts that are being used, such as a Control X to delete something, etc. Well, for this example, I'm going to take a normal arrow, and I actually quite like this one. So I'm going to take it, drag it, and drop it onto my canvas, and as you can see, it's very intuitive. Click, drag, drop, anybody can do that. And I'm going to position it where I want it. Now I have these little drag handles, and I can resize it so it actually fits where I want it to fit. And then I do a double click, and I can add my desired text, like click here. Great, great. A few more things. This clip is now selected in the canvas, and you can also see that it's selected down here on the timeline. And when I now go to the properties on the right side, I have this additional third tab that I mentioned earlier, where I can decide and define the visual style of this particular callout. And yeah, I'm going to leave most of them as they are, but just to show you, I can go in here and I can either pick a random color from this, but what I like to do is use the color picker, and then I actually like to choose an image or a color from the video or from the application to make it match and give it that consistent, nice looking style. All right, and let's position this a little bit here. There's one more thing I need to do, and I need to go back to my beginning of my video and make sure that this arrow appears at the right point in time and only stays visible for as long as I need it to. So right now, the tutorial would start with please log in. I think that might show up a little bit too early. Let's see when the mouse cursor starts moving onto the login button, roughly at this point in time. Yeah, we can see the mouse cursor move a little bit. So I'm actually going to take this and position it. So this arrow is going to show up when the mouse cursor starts. The mouse cursor goes to the login button. It will click on the login button, and then, yeah, the next screen will appear. And I don't want the arrow to be visible that long, so I find essentially the point where I want it to show until, which would be here. And now again, a little trim movement. Click, select, trim it. And now my arrow is available just for the sentence as it lines up with my audio and the action on the screen. There's one more thing I'm going to do, and that is add a transition effect to my little arrow. And there's a lot of different ones available, but I really like a nice simple fade. I can click it, hold it, and now I'm dragging it down to my timeline, and you can see those yellow highlights, I hope. And the yellow highlights indicate the elements I can apply it to. So you can see I could have the transition effect applied to my main recording or to my arrow. I can also just apply it to the intro or the outro, depending on where I place it. But in my case, I'm just going to drop it dead middle onto my callout, onto my arrow, bam. And here we are, it fades in, the user clicks on it, it fades out. Beautiful and professional, and really wasn't that much work, especially if I hadn't talked as much. Now there's probably one more thing I like to do in a lot of my screencasts, and that is to zoom in. So here we have this option where the user has to click on reports on the left side. Now this detail might be a little bit hard to see. So if I position the Suchbalken, the Playhead at the point in time where I want to zoom in and show things in more detail, I can then select the animation tab over here on the left side. This will bring in the animation and zoom in pan feature. And here I have two tabs, animations. They are awesome. I'm not going to cover them right now, but rather I'm going to stay under zoom in pan because it's so nice and simple. And now all I have to do is take these handles and drag them around the area of my screen I actually want to show, which in this case is a detailed view of the options on the left side. So right here, everything else is not needed. What also happened at this point of time, let me just increase this view a little bit so we have a bit more space. It added 2 keyframes. Yeah, and what this looks like now is the video starts. Please click on reports, and as we can see at this point in time, we automatically zoom in. Yeah, the viewer only sees, a bit hard to see or a bit hard to explain, but essentially everything that's in this highlighted light area is what's going to be in your final video, and everything that's gray is still part of your recording, but the end user, your final video, will not include this. Yeah, so now we remain in this view, and after we've clicked on it, we probably want to show the full screen again to draw the attention on whatever the next option is. So I simply position my playhead at the right point in time. I go back into my animations. I'm still under zoom and pan, and now I could take these handles and make them bigger, though I just choose scale to fit because it just fits. Yeah, and so now we have a video that starts with a hello and welcome. We have the option to click here based on that arrow. We zoom in, we zoom out. And that essentially concludes the basic process for creating super simple screencasts using Camtasia. If I'm happy with this result, I can go to the export option in the top right, and here I can choose to either save it as a local file. We support MP4, RVE, AVI, as well as several other ones, though I usually recommend MP4 to be the format to choose. And you can also send your videos directly to YouTube or Vimeo or some other cloud storage. All right. Next, I want to talk about some of the many ways that Camtasia can actually help you make consistent videos easier and faster, which of course is great for standardized video production, working in a team, and so on. And there's a couple features that support this type of workflow, and they all work together and supplement each other. So let's take a look. The first feature I want to show you are the so-called color themes. It's best if I show them, and for that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add another shape to my video. And the color theme are a set of colors, a color palette that can be applied to all kinds of visual content within your Camtasia projects. So right now I have my new arrow right here, and the color themes are found on the right side under the settings. And I already created a color theme for a fake company called Acme, but I'm going to show you real quick what's behind that color theme. So I'm going to select Manage Themes to bring up the theme manager. And here it says, a theme allows you to quickly apply styles to callouts, shapes, arrows, and assets to match your personal brand or corporate brand. All right, sounds great. And here's that font or the theme I already created. And you can see I was able to define some custom colors for foreground, background 2, as well as an accent color. And I also defined the primary color that's being used as the background for any kind of annotations. And here I could choose a different one as well. If I want that to be, I get a nice little preview. Though honestly, I like the blue a little bit more in this case. I also added a custom font or my preferred font to my color theme. So anytime I'm using the text tool or callout tool, my favorite fonts, or my approved fonts, I should say, are being used. And last but not least, I also implemented my own logo to this color theme, and I added it to it, which is now bundled into that theme. And anytime there's a chance to include a logo, my personal logo is going to be used. Yeah, so this is already configured. I'm just going to hit save. And now in order to adjust this callout to my theme and the presets that are contained within my theme, all I have to do is select it, and then on the right side I can choose callout, select theme, and now I'm going to apply the Acme theme, and as you can see, it will turn blue and the font will have changed. Excellent. Yeah, there's a few more places you can apply these themes. So for example, if I'm going back to the second arrow that I created a few minutes ago, yeah, of course I could go in here and apply the theme and it would turn it blue like we just saw. But what I also quite like is if you go into any of the color pickers within Camtasia, you also have the themes available right here. And from this, it's very easy for me to access not just the primary callout color, but maybe the secondary ones as well. And yeah, essentially this is like my little approved color palette that I want to have available all throughout Camtasia. And as long as I remain within Acme, my company style, yeah, I know I'm using the approved fine colors that I should be using. Another area where you can get the themes to work is actually right here in the left side. So we're still in the annotation tool, but not only can I sort by type of style, I can also apply and sort by color themes. So now I applied this, and as you can see, they're all blue because that is my primary color. However, yep, it's a nice way to keep commonly used tools quick and accessible. And that brings me to my next point. Yeah, there are certain tools we use over and over and over again. The same type of transition, the same type of callouts, and we want to make sure we store them all or we keep them all accessible. And for that, Camtasia now includes a favorites option, this one right here. In favorites, let me just open that real quick. Yeah, I only have one custom one in there right now. But favorites are the settings, your favorite tools and settings that you use over and over and over again. So if I have an annotation, let's say this one I like quite a bit, I'm gonna make a little star to mark it. I also frequently need to use this one as part of my guide. And the blur tool is also an all-time favorite. Same goes for the transition effects. Everybody loves a good fade, and a fade to black is also something I frequently use. And let me see if there's any other ones. I think that's okay. Let's take a look at my annotation, at my favorites. And now I have all of these effects accessible in one place, and I don't have to switch in between the different tools and necessarily wonder whether or not I'm using the right one or the one I used the last time. Right? So big time savings and consistencies right here. So let's take it one step further and take a look at the library. The library is a place where Camtasia can store all kinds of media elements that need to be available across multiple projects. So in comparison, the media bin only collects the elements you're using in this project today. The library is a place where you can store things you need to use over and over and over again. Camtasia has a built-in library which has some icons, intros, lower thirds, and also some music. I like the music tracks quite a bit. They're royalty free, so you can use them in your own videos. However, the library also allows you to create your own folders and your own set of icons and elements that you want to use over and over and over again as part of your projects. So I created that already for my Acme Corporation right here. And I separated it into 2 subfolders. And let's take a look at this one. And you can see I placed my logo here in case I just need to add my logo to any of my videos. I have intros, outros created once and saved to my library. And now I can use them anytime I open Camtasia. They're available in here. And it's a great place to keep all these things together. And yes, you can share all these elements with other users. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. The last thing I want to show you though is completely new in Camtasia 2020, and in my opinion, the biggest improvement for allowing us all to work more consistently and create consistent videos. And that is the introduction of video templates. That's right, you can create videos now on the basis of a predefined template that gives you certain elements, structure, etc. to keep it quick, easy, and in line. So in order to do so, I'm gonna click on File, and I'm gonna open a new project from Template. And I have several templates available right here in my version of Camtasia. By default, Camtasia comes installed with this default template. However, you can download additional templates from our website that you want to use, or you can also create your own, which I think is quite powerful. Well, what is a template actually, and how does this work? So I'm going to select the default one, and I'm going to say New from Template. Camtasia will open the template right here. And it's not quite an empty project because we already have a couple elements up here in the media bin, as well as several down here on the timeline. So let me take the playhead and scrub through so we can see what's actually in it. It starts with a predefined intro. It's Camtasia branded. We can enter the title of the video. Then the same is at the end. We have an outro, looks very similar, again Camtasia branded. And then in the middle, that is really the beauty of these templates, are the placeholders. And this is a placeholder for a screen recording video, and I have some additional instructions over here on the right side, which are particularly useful if not me, but somebody else who didn't create the template needs to be working with this. And now it's quite simple to turn this template into a finished video. So let me bring up the recording we just created a few seconds ago. All right, here it is, and I'm just gonna drag it over into the clip bin. All right. And now all I have to do to replace my placeholder with this recording is take my recording, click, hold, and drag. I'm dragging it over the placeholder. I wait for it to turn green. You can see that green outline hopefully. And as I let go, I have the option now to replace it. And there's a few different types of replacing it based on whether or not you want to keep the length of the placeholder or if you just want to replace it with a video. In this case, I just want to do a normal replace, so I'm doing ripple replace, and where the placeholder was is now my own screen video. Yeah. We can take a look at that. Here we go. It included both of my clips. So let me actually put me a little bit to the corner. That's more important right now, or less important right now. Yeah, and then we still have the intro. Let me zoom out. So we have our intro, main part with our recording, and our outro. And now I can edit the main part as I normally would, as I showed earlier, by cutting things, adding callouts, etc. However, this basic structure was already applied. Also cool is, if we take a look right here at the beginning, we already have a fade effect applied to our video because that fade effect was applied to the placeholder. So without having to do anything, that standardized fade in is already there, and I didn't have to think about it, and also I wouldn't forget it while editing. Now let's take a look at these intros because they're also quite nice because they're adjustable. So right here we are with the intro, little zoom out. Let me just get this right. Here we go. Now if I select this, I have the option of adding my text. So let me call this just my screencast number 007. Everybody likes 007. Yeah, I could add a subtext, and quite nicely, of course I could adjust the colors, but the themes come into play again. And now if I wanted to use the same intro that is part of this template, I can simply choose Acme, pop, and it applies my Acme theme. You maybe noticed the colors changing, and it applied my logo. So it was a really quick way, by the use of themes, to create something that is branded and in line with whatever my corporate identity says I should do. Now we have the main part, and let's go to the end of the video because we want to repeat the same thing for the outro. Here we go. We could add more text. I'm not going to do that right now, but again, I'm going to apply my Acme theme. And yep, it was a very quick way of working with this template to create a basic screencast with intro, outro, and already transition effects applied. As I said earlier, Camtasia also allows you to create your own templates, and that's what we're going to do next. Let me start a new project, and I don't want to save the old one. All right, here we go. Okay, and in order to do so, I'm actually going to go into my library because I know I have some elements in there that lend themselves well, and I need to have an introduction. So I'll take my intro and I'll add that to the beginning of my timeline. And then I also need an outro, and I'm going to choose this animated one. I quite like this. Actually, let's do the English one. And I put this to the end. And now in the middle, I need my particular placeholder. And in order to do so, I can do a right click and choose add placeholder, or simply hit the letter P on my keyboard. All right. This placeholder, once selected, can also be renamed if I want to give some additional instructions. So maybe add basic screen recording here. And I could add even further instructions if those were needed, depending on the recipient or the person who is using that. All right, now I can place this placeholder right here in the middle. Yeah, adjust it as I need to. I can also go ahead and add a second placeholder. Maybe I want to have a summary, so you can already see you are not limited to just one placeholder, but you can use them to create a bit of basic structure. So let's do here the summary. Places in the middle. And now there's one more thing I want to show you, though. Honestly, this is already looking pretty good. We got an intro, we got first placeholder, second placeholder, and then the outro. But maybe you already noticed there is some blank space in between my clips. I left that on purpose. Of course, I could adjust them by simply moving them, but there's a new feature called the magnetic timeline, and it's just nice to show that. So you will notice that some of these tracks have this little magnet, and when I enable this, it will automatically attract all the clips that are on this particular clip, so on this track. So imagine it as if all of these were gigantic chunks of metal, and you're turning on this big magnet, and zack, they're all being pulled to the left, right? And they're kind of stuck. So that is a nice way to prevent gaps in your video from appearing, because they're always going to be moved to the left. Yeah, just a little thing I wanted to show. But I'm going to turn this off. This is good. The last thing I want to do right here is go back into my transitions. So actually I'll go into my favorites because that's where I have my favorite transitions. And I want the intro to fade into the basic screen recording in black. So I apply this already. Then the main part, the summary, should be a normal fade. And at the end, we'll do another fade to black. So these are pre-applied transitions now. And later on, when I add screen content to my template, it will have the same transitions applied to it. And maybe I also want to have this cursor effect already, so I'm dragging this to my screen recording here, and that will also have that screen recording cursor effect applied to it later on automatically. Now that this template looks good, I have to go ahead and save it. And to do so, I go into File, and then I have Save Project as Template. I can give it a new name, and I'm gonna call this my Acme Screencast. I click OK, and now it's saved as a template. And all I have to do in order to use this template is select New, a File, New Project from Template. It opens the Template Manager, and here is now the template. I can click New from Template, it will open the template, and then I can start filling it with the actual recordings I am creating. Now this is a great point also to show you one more template or another version of a template, because the templates can be rather complex and they also work with different types of media. So let me open this one that I have prepared for showing a basic repair or maintenance project or process. Let me go ahead and open this. I don't need to save this because it's already in my templates. Alright, let's just wait a second. Alright, now we're looking at this template I created earlier. You can already tell that it's a bit more complex than the one I did before, and the main purpose of it is to provide a basic structure on the type of content that needs to be included in a particular type of how-to video. So in this case, it always should start with a title, pretty standard stuff. This title right here is a callout element, so it can be adjusted for every single video. I just double click and I give it a new name, and I say hello world. All right, easy to adjust, easy to work with. Then I have a placeholder which is used, or which needs to be in there for showing any of the tools that are required for this maintenance step I'm showing as part of my instructions. I have a chapter which introduces the next step. Then the maintenance process will likely have a step 1, so that needs to go here. There is probably a second step, maybe there's a third step, and then there might also be a summary at the end. And at the end we have an outro with some predefined text on it that can of course be adjusted, but the background of that outro is a placeholder because we probably want to customize it based on the tutorial we are working on. So now that I have this template open, it's time for me to actually fill it with video content. And I already have that prepared, so let me go ahead and open a couple videos, and I'm going to drag them into my media bin so I can start adding them to my project. Alright, so the first placeholder I need to fill in are the actual required tools. So again, I know I have a recording created for the tools. I'm gonna take, select and drag it and hold it over the placeholder. When it turns green, I let go, and here we are. Now we have the required tools being shown in this particular step. The chapter slide seems good. Now the first step is likely loosening the bolt in order to adjust that bicycle. So I have footage for that already prepared. Take, drag, drop. And as I'm going to let it drop, I have a couple replacement options, and I'm going to choose replace from the start, actually from the end. And then for the second step, I need to adjust the height of the saddle. So that would be maybe this recording right here. Place it. I choose ripple replace, so the entire recording gets adjusted. The third step is then again to probably to tighten the bolt so nothing falls apart. So that would be maybe this one. Take, drop, and wait for it to be green, and I'll do another ripple replace. And now we have this summary, which I actually don't want in this particular case. Simple tutorial, so I just delete it using the delete key on my keyboard. And then I have my outro. I put this back into place a little bit, and I want to replace the outro as well so it looks nice. So let me take this this video right here of someone riding away on his bicycle, and I'm gonna use a replace with clip speed so the length perfectly fits. Last few things I noticed. The text of the actual outro has slipped a little bit because it's on a separate track, and some of these elements were longer or shorter than the placeholder, but that is fine. I can simply click and drag and readjust it so it only aligns with that end scene. So let's go back to the very beginning and take a look what this video could look like. So here we are. Here we have our intro, hello world. Then we see the required tools. We go into the first chapter. Then step 1, loosen things, adjust the saddle, tighten it, and then we have our end with our ending. And of course now I can take these individual videos and edit them a bit further, trim them, cut them, add more things as we saw. But I hope you were able to see that with these templates you can predefine a lot of structure and design, making it easier for anyone to really create videos in that same spirit. Alright, now a question I know you probably already had is, alright, how do I, once I've created all these things, how do I make it possible for my team to create consistent content? Well, there's a new feature in Camtasia for that as well, and that is the option to export a package. So let me show you how that works. You will have to go to File, Export, and Package. And don't worry, we also have fantastic tutorials that explain you exactly that particular process. And this will open then the Export Package Manager, and now I can select the elements I want to bundle up to give to somebody else. So I know I want to have the how to repair template in there, as well as the Acme template we just created. I also want to include my color theme, and that library with my custom intros that I had created should be included as well. Keyboard shortcuts, yeah, I'll let those be, everybody can decide them for themselves. But my favorite tools, those couple of effects I start, yeah sure, let me include those. And I don't have any tool presets created today, though I could include those as well. And now that I have my desired element selected, I simply hit Export. Camtasia will ask me where to save them. I give it a name. I click Save, and it will take all these elements and create a special package, branding package for me, which I can then distribute with my team. And everybody on my team who will double click on this package will have that, or will be able to install it in Camtasia, and then they will have access to the same color themes, the same templates, the same favorites, and the same library, so they can start working and creating the same videos that you are envisioning. So this essentially summarizes Camtasia 2020 for you. If you have further questions, I'll be in the chat over here, so I'm more than happy to pick the conversation up there, or stop by the TechSmith virtual booth anytime this week. Me and my colleagues will be there, and we're more than happy to take another look with you at Camtasia and dive even deeper or answer specific questions yet you might have. With that said, I wish you a great afternoon, and thanks for joining us today for this tool presentation about Camtasia 2020. Goodbye.